Tuatahi, tēnā koe e te rangatira e taku tūnane, he mihi mai nei kia hau I tēnei wā. Tēnā hoki koutou e te mana whenua Ngāti tō rangatira, te atiawa o te rā taranaki whānui ki te upoko te ika, tēnei ka mihi. Tēnā hoki koutou e raurangatirama, ko tai mai nei I tēnei wā, I tēnei rā whakahirahira. Nō reira, tēnā tātou, tēnā koutou katoa. Ko Waiahau, ko taupiri te maunga, ko Waikato te awa, ko Waikato-Tainui te iwi, ko Pōtatau te whero te tangata, ko Parekawhia McLean tōku ingoa, ko tōku mahi I naenei, ko au te tumu whakarai, te tumuaki mō Waikato-Tainui. And it really is an honour and a pleasure to be here today. I have to say, when I was invited to be a presenter, it wasn't until I think I saw a draft of the program to see, in fact, that I was being invited to be a keynote speaker. So that's the first thing. Secondly, that I would be speaking after lunch. So having been to a lot of hui and also to conferences, I know that at times when you've had a fabulous kai, which we all have, this can be the graveyard shift, so to speak. So knowing that, I'm going to try and keep this as interactive as possible. So I've mixed it up a little bit. There's a couple of DVD clips that I want to show to you all. But more importantly, today I'm here to offer my observations on evidence, how you apply it so that it matters and makes a difference and an impact. For me, and the focus of my day-to-day role as CEO of Waikato-Tainui, it is all about improving the well-being and prosperity of our tribal members and our tupuna awa, or the Waikato River. How do we know we are making an impact? Hinges on meaningful data that we can report against and tell us that there is a turning of the curve when it comes to social, cultural, economic, and environmental outcomes for our people. Over the past 18 months, we've been on that journey using the results-based accountability framework, which we have further tailored into a set of signposts, or ngā tohu mō Waikato-Tainui. But before I do that, it is important to set the scene by sharing with you all the experiences of my own iwi and our journey of almost 21 years as the first tribal entity to settle a historical treaty claim in this country. Context is all important for us because our past and present and future are interrelated. So, to begin then, I have a short video clip featuring our historical settlement which addressed a long-standing grievance concerning the confiscation by the Crown of 1.2 million acres of land in the 1860s, the loss of lives through warfare, and the subsequent impoverishment suffered by many of my own tribal people. So, can you roll that video, please? Toki I have to say that whenever I do play this DVD clip, certainly back in Waikato-Tainui and amongst other iwi, it's a very moving clip. And that defining moment in 1995 happened, for those of you who don't and haven't been to Tūranga Waiwai Marae and Ngarawahia. And many who feature in that clip are no longer with us. So, I always pay tribute, first of all, to those kaumātua, to those elders that are there in that video. The late Māori Queen, Te Ariki Nui, Te Atairangi Kāhu, the late Sir Robert Mahuta, who was our chief negotiator at the time, particularly for their dedication, commitment and courage for being the first to lead an iwi, my iwi, into a settlement. There are also others in that clip. You would have seen some of those rangatahi at the time doing that haka. A number of them now occupy leadership roles in our iwi. I wasn't there. At the time, I was studying in the United States at the University of Wisconsin, but my parents were present, and my mother wrote this very beautiful letter to me while I was away, describing the hui. And the words that are etched in my mind from her letter was simply, Dad and I supported the settlement because we wanted a better future for you and your brothers and sisters and your grandchildren. If someone was to have said to me in 1995 when I was studying in the States that one day you would become the CEO of Waikato-Tainui, my response would have been, I don't think so, as I had other plans and being an iwi CEO was not one. But of course that is now history. And really today I consider it to be a privilege to be working for and on behalf of 67,000 registered tribal members with a simple message of improving the well-being of our people and our tupuna awa, the Waikato River. Our population is young, with almost 2/3 under the age of 40. We are made up of 33 hapu and 68 marae. As this map shows you, our marae extends across a wide region. And yes, we do have interest in tamaki, so I'll say that, my leadership says that, to the north, but also along the west coast harbours, from Port Waikato right down through Raglan, Kawhia and so on, as far south as Te Koiti in Ngāti Maniupoto, and across to the towns of Putararu, Tukuru and so on. Many of our marae and our hapu also have very close whakapapa connections to our neighbouring iwi of Raukawa, Maniupoto and Hauraki, and with Waikato-Tainui makes up the Tainui Confederation of Iwi. I've been the CEO now for almost 5.5 years, and if anything, I could have probably picked a much easier role to cut my teeth when it comes to iwi or Indigenous politics than becoming a tribal CEO here in Aotearoa, New Zealand. Some people in this room will know that in fact I was trained as a public servant, spent a number of years working with the State Services Commission, within the Department of Prime Minister and Cabinet, in ministers' offices, and then I made a deliberate decision to step out of that, my comfort zone. I set up my own business for a little while, and then I returned home, having spent almost 18 years here in Wellington, so Wellington is very familiar to me. But in saying that, I've always been one for a challenge, and once I'm committed to starting something, in this case the CEO of Waikato-Tainui, I like to start, finish, and more importantly, make a difference. It's fair to say that I've certainly had my fair share of challenges, and if there are other iwi people in the room, you'll probably know what I'm talking about, and have the scars on my back to prove it. However, I take the view it's not how you get them, but how you respond to the challenges put in front of you and the character you show in the face of adversity. It certainly comes with the territory, especially when you are part of a movement, and I do consider myself to be part of a movement that is dedicated to autonomy, self-determination, empowering others, and facilitating prosperity to your people. I guess for those of us here in this room who are in similar roles, we must always be mindful that we are continuing to build a legacy forged by others before us, and that is why I mihied right at the outset after that DVD to our kaumātua, to our late Māori Queen and Sir Robert Mahuta. The tribal organisation I work for fosters passion because for our members it is about history, connection, belonging, pride and our place in the world. Stable leadership, effective governance and management and quality decision-making informed by data and evidence is a potent mix and greatly needed across the iwi landscape. So too is the need to have in place a strategic and holistic platform that clearly sets out the direction for any organisation. While being holistic may mean different things to different people, there are some common themes of which social, cultural, economic, including commercial development, and environmental determinants feature prominently. Similarly, when we talk about well-being, the four components of physical, mental, spiritual, and what I've called whānau family must be aligned and be in balance. From my perspective, there is the theory of holistic development and approaches, and then there is the practice or execution that surrounds it. And for me, that distinction is very real. The aim should be getting the balance right between, on the one hand, our aspirational goals and then taking these to another level to see real change, or at the grassroots, or more importantly, within our own families and whānau and in the hearts and minds of our people. My primary focus as a CEO is very much in the execution space, but the strategic direction is always front of mind for me and should be for all of us with management leadership responsibilities. We must always have a broader vision that we can aspire to and that motivates us to perform and deliver quality outcomes. My own personal vision is one where my own family live long and healthy lives, are financially independent, are confident in their identity, are generous, kind and respectful to others and our environment, and are succeeding, whatever that means for them. To illustrate a holistic approach, I refer you to our own tribal intergenerational plan, known as Whakatupuranga 2050, or Generation 2050. It is our blueprint for social, cultural, environmental and economic advancement. We have consciously taken a long-term view of our development. That doesn't mean we are not responding to the immediate needs of our people, but we are investing in our future too, or paying forward. My view is anyways that each generation must leave the next generation in a better state of preparedness for the challenges ahead. When I think of my parents and my grandparents, they certainly did that for me and my family. They did not have the same opportunities that I have had. They grew up in very humble circumstances. They were not materially rich at all, not widely travelled, or by today's standards, well educated. My mum and dad, in the time that I lived here in Wellington for 18 years, they only visited me once, and that was to pick up their granddaughter, their mokopuna, when she was 4 months old. And they said to me then, when we sent you to Wellington, we didn't expect you to get pregnant, and we weren't expecting, you to be, yes, we want you to be a mother, but we sent you here for a particular reason. They came down and took my daughter, and she spent the first 14 years of her life living with her grandparents, and she certainly is very much her grandparents' mokopuna. But one thing that my parents were definite about is that we would all receive an education, and some of their values of hard work, resilience, respect, and caring for others rubbed off on all of us. But education was non-negotiable in our household, along with having to play a team sport. Just returning to our tribal plan, and I just want to touch on our key outcome and what we aspire for our tribal member. The statement here: committed to the kingitanga, fluent in te reo Māori, strong in our tikanga, healthy, well-educated, financially secure, environmentally conscious and socially sound. If you look at other iwi Māori planning documents, many of these themes are common. You'll find them in other documents like that. But what is unique for Waikato-Tainui is the stewardship responsibilities that we have with the kingitanga, the King movement. And that was a movement which was established in 1858 among some iwi, or the tribes, to halt the alienation of land at that time and to bring unity. And I'm not going to go into that kaupapa because that means I'll have to do another presentation just around the kingitanga movement. But in terms of our responsibilities, though, in supporting the movement, things like, for example, last year when Prince Charles and his wife Camilla visited New Zealand, you would have seen they came to Tūranga Waiwai, and so that was a great day in terms of the visit itself, but that's a good example of where Waikato-Tainui kicks in and in support of the kingitanga. Our vision is inspired by our second Māori king. This is Kingi Tāwhiao, and he was the king during a time of the land confiscations, and it was at that time when 1.2 million acres were confiscated, and he went into exile very soon after that happened, and his parting, what we call tungikura, or statement, was māku anō e hanga I tōku nei whare, ko ngā pau o roto he māhoi, he patate, ko te tāhuhu he hino, me whakatupu ki te hua o te ringaringa, me whakapakari ki te hua o te kauriki. And in thinking about tungikura like this, very much from Waikato-Tainui's point of view, we see them as rallying calls. In this particular case, that despite the hardships at that time experienced by him and our tupuna, they dedicated themselves to rebuilding our people. And to me it is timeless, and that is why it features in our strategic plan. And it talks to me about taking control of our destiny, being resourceful and resilient. It's also about having faith, self-belief, knowing we can, and importantly, again, having the courage to act. Our plan also draws upon inspirational words and actions from others. This is Te Poia Herangi, kia tupu kia hua kia Puawai. She really was a formidable leader in her time, and I think when the New Zealand Herald celebrated quite recently 150 years, she was one of their top 10 New Zealand leaders in that time. And that's because not only did she take a national stand when she opposed the government's World War I conscription policy for Māori, and particularly for Waikato-Tainui, she built the marae at Tūranga Waiwai. She was an astute businesswoman. She had her own farms. She was an entertainer. She took groups, one group in particular, across the country to fundraise the build. And she also built relationships with government at that time and with other iwi. Now, she also had time, believe it or not, because she couldn't have children herself, to whāngai or bring up or to adopt other children. So there was about 100, and a number of them who are kaumātua now still speak very, very fondly of their time with Te Puia. Our purpose, well, it's pretty straightforward what our purpose is as a Waikato-Tainui. Again, this is, from my perspective, timeless. But really it's how we make it happen, where I and my management peers and teams across the Waikato-Tainui group comes into play. And this is when the magic is meant to happen and where execution is critical. Let me start by saying that kotahitanga, or being united, resonates strongly with me. It's about moving from some to all. And that travel of direction is important to our ongoing capability and building our own leadership within the iwi. And purely from a management perspective will help define us as a fit-for-purpose group with strong policies, practices, procedures, evidence-based decision-making processes, and more importantly, demonstrate we are being responsive to the needs of our people. And I've heard that theme expressed differently in some of the presentations already. So 21 years on, what have we done? So while recently we have achieved an asset base of 1.2 billion, ultimately, from my perspective and many of my own tribal members, our success will and should be measured on how well our people are, how well is our tupuna awa, the river, and other factors. So these next two slides just gives you a flavour of our development over the last 21 years. Look, we've experienced the good, the bad and the ugly, and I'm very upfront about that, but along our journey it's the lessons that we have learned, and it's really important that we don't repeat some of the mistakes that we have made in the past. Can I just say too that we've distributed almost 100 million across our people and our marae and across the tribe. That's gone into a number of initiatives. We're getting our people into jobs and training important opportunities. We've partnered with a number of others to secure meaningful pathways, and I'm going to come back to that very shortly. Success-based education. Last year we released our education plan, Ko Te Mana Mātauranga, and its focus is on education being a lifelong journey, where at the heart is our whānau. And next week we are hosting a hui involving the principals of 15 secondary schools, mainstream secondary schools in the Waikato, who have signed up a kawanata or a partnership agreement with us. And in return, they get access to resources for their own curriculum development, help them bring forward things like, for example, this petition around the land wars, so providing our own stories to those schools. In return, we get access to some of their data about our own Waikato-Tainui students. Like other iwi, our tikanga cultural practices, our reo is what defines us as Waikato-Tainui. And again, recently we launched our tikanga ora, reo ora plan, and we have a very ambitious goal to shift our fluency rates for tribal members from 31% last year to 80% in 2050. And I say that is a very ambitious goal. We have a housing strategy that aims to move our tribal members from rental accommodation to home ownership. And we're very fortunate. We've partnered with BNZ. We offer budgeting workshops and also home ownership workshops, which are going very well. We also have some housing developments in the pipeline that leverage off our right of first refusal mechanism, where both land and housing stock that is surplus to government is offered back to us first. Last year, we completed a major review of our 20-year-old governance and representation structure, and we're now implementing a number of initiatives arising from this exercise. And I'm particularly proud of this work because we didn't go to one of the big 4 consultancy firms. We relied on our own in-house pool of talent across our governance and management to lead and design our future arrangements going forward. And I do want to acknowledge Nanaya Mahuta and Sir Henry van der Hayden, who chairs our commercial arm. They were our co-chairs of that exercise. In terms of our commercial developments, we are the major landlord in Hamilton, and through Tainui Group Holdings, we own a number of hotels, so please, if you're at the Auckland Airport, go and stay at the Novotel Auckland Airport Hotel. It is more than exceeding its occupancy rate. I think our target is about 86%, but also the Ibis Hotel in Hamilton. Our retail centre, Te Awa, at the base in Hamilton, it is the only retail centre in Australasia which has distinctive Waikato-Tainui Māori designs, but it also has bilingual signage. So we're very proud of that asset, and po, or carvings, when you go into that centre. The More recently, we've acquired, alongside Naita, who shares in the Waikato Milking Systems, the public transport company GoBus, and we have farms, forestry and fishing assets. But one of the things that we are currently doing, and we must do, is to continue to diversify our assets, our portfolio. We're also very much an events-based iwi, and I can say this without a doubt that we host more hui in this country than any other tribe. If there are any other iwi that can tell me that otherwise in the room today, I'm happy to be challenged. But when you think about the annual coronation, the regatta, which we held recently in March, we have 33 pokai or hui dedicated to those less fortunate. We have special one-off meetings, and just 2-3 months ago, we held our biennial Waikato-Tainui Games every 2 years, over 3 weekends, major attraction for our membership. We get about over 20,000. The underlying themes are around kotahitanga, whanaungatanga, and obviously the health and well-being of our own whānau. It's very, very popular. Our environmental agenda is led by our plan Taitumu Taipari Taiao, and last year it took out the New Zealand Institute of Planning Award for the best strategic plan. It was up against a number of other documents from local government, from central government and other corporations, and an example of where it is being applied right now by NZTA. If you've been up to the Waikato in recent times, you would have experienced the investment, the infrastructure, the expressways. Well, a lot of that mahi is being done in partnership with our marae, those neighbouring marae in Hapu. Last but not least, and I do want to acknowledge the Waikato-Tainui College for Research and Development, led by Dr. Sarah Jane Tiakiwai. The college was established by the late Sir Robert Mahuta, and at the time when it was opened by the Māori Queen Te Ariki Nui, she said that the college is our gift to the nation. And so while it is a place of learning, research, scholarship and thought leadership, it is a space for all. And Superu, if you are thinking about having another conference, I'm putting the tono out to you to come to the college, and we would love to host you. The college also offers, in partnership with the Waikato University, an MBA program that has been going now for 3 years, again in partnership with Te Wānanga o Raukawa, Masters of Mātauranga Māori, and it is running a number of other programs around governance, marae development and so on. Certainly in the time that I've been the CEO, I'm very optimistic by the opportunities and relationships that we have established and those ahead of us. But, and there is always a big but, there is more to be done, and we certainly cannot be complacent. That is why data and evidence is important for the iwi, getting back to this conference here, and our program of change. As mentioned, we are on a journey that has seen our teams become immersed in results-based accountability. RBA, and I'm sure there are a number of people in this room that know about RBA, and I'm probably more expert at it than I am, is a simple common sense framework which communities, agencies or teams like ours can use to focus on results or outcomes to make a positive change, especially who or what are we targeting, what do we want to achieve, how our communities, whānau and clients better off. Briefly, the basis of RBA is around continuous improvement, whether it be within a team, organisation or a program. There are 2 types of accountability. There's those population, outcomes, results and performance measures. There are 3 types of performance measures. How much did we do? How well did we do it? And is anyone better off? And then there are the questions from ends to means, baselines and turning the curve to making life better for our whānau, children or communities. I want to take you to a live example. of what we are currently doing within using employment as an example. So can I just first of all introduce with me today Kawena Jones, and he is working on this on almost a day-to-day basis. Couple of things really here is that in his role, Kawe does a number of things. First of all, he facilitates access to partner-run and pre-employment workshops, and these are really designed to support our tribal members by giving them a taster experience. You know, do you like this? Giving them a feel for what it could be. He also works with a number of our industry partners to get them on board with our approach. He facilitates the recruitment process for our partners, so he works alongside them by finding and using our tribal database, finding the right people for our partners and for the particular role. And obviously key is that he places those tribal members into jobs. So what is it that we're doing? Well, we're focused on our tribal members, our clients, using that language, our people, aged between 17 and 64 years, and this is the particular service. So if we go and break that down even further, so this next slide features or focuses further on our performance improvement. And again, I think for those of you in the audience, this should be reasonably straightforward. So how much did we do? Quantity and effort. The number of Waikato-Tainui unemployed job seekers registered in program. The number at employment workshops. The number of our clients at employment workshops. The number of employment workshops. Then, of course, we have the quality. How well did we do it? And then, is anyone better off? So those that were placed in full-time, part-time employment, or in a cadetship or an internship. I hope you can see that, but if you can't, I will take you through this particular slide. So what we are doing here, what I wanted to demonstrate to you is that how better off our percentage of tribal members who have been placed in full-time. So this is full-time employment. And so what we are doing and what we are using is the results-based scorecard software so that we can get trends and analyse our own performance measuring data. We're using this to drive our performance. So again, I heard that cordial this morning from our colleague from the Methodist Mission, talking about within her organisation, seeing improvement, driving performance. What I can say is that this data, and it is only over a short period of time from July 2015 to February 2016, it is trending in the right direction, but we certainly can do better. And I always put a caveat around this because, again, you know, as I've said before, this is a new way of doing things for Waikato-Tainui. We've never done it before. If we look at the dips, so why has that happened? So if we just look at those on the graph that are going down. So I'll start off with the negatives. Our analysis has shown us that the dip in performance is often because of our own communications with partners haven't been good enough in terms of what we're looking for and expectations. Sometimes there's some simple things like seasonal issues linked to employment opportunities, the economy in the Waikato at the time, maybe buoyant increase, but they're not buoyant, so opportunities decrease. We also find, certainly has been our experience, is that sometimes our people are not ready. They're not ready to take up the opportunities, and you know, we have to stand back and think, why is that the case? And some just need a lot more pastoral support to make them employable, I guess, or to get them to that next step. Some of the positives, well, again, we've improved our communications to our partners. We know that we've got to be very proactive in that space with a number of our partners. We need to keep up to date with the trends, both employee and employment trends and employer needs. We've also got to do, the other part too is just trying to anticipate or to preempt what those needs are by employers. Marketing the services that we're able to offer. High quality pre-employment workshops and extra support, again, that's that pastoral care to our tribal members. If I go through to February 2016, the 31%, certainly that was a successful month because ultimately our partners boosted internal employment opportunities for our own members. And some of those partners, external partners, include the likes of Fulton Hogan. Fulton Hogan was awarded a major contract for one of the expressways in the Waikato, so again it's an illustration of where we're working with them to offer those opportunities to our members. We've got a number of our people also in the tertiary education sector, Te Wānanga o Aotearoa. We have a very strong relationship with the Wānanga. Gilmore's, some of the screen printers and City Glass. So that's just an example of some of the partners that we have, but we have a number of others. So what works? We know that strong relationships with our partners. We're also very clear about what is our cultural framework. So what I shared with you around our setting the scene, who we are, whenever we meet a potential partner, we do a show and tell because we want to see if our values are aligned. Are you ultimately in the same space about promoting the health and well-being or improving the health and well-being of our people? Or is this just a quick, game for you? Because we're in it for the long term. Innovative tools and approaches to providing updates to our partners. So we're always using, if it's social media, we've got a very active Facebook page. And also taking opportunities to place ourselves, including at conferences like this, to tell our story, to tell people what we are doing and what our plans are going forward. And this final slide, and it is, there's a lot of detail on this slide, but if I can really go to the nub of this slide, is that, again, we've tried to break this down, but the indicator, our indicator from a tribal-wide population basis outcome is that our members are employed. That's what our goal is. That's what we're measuring our performance on. And obviously what contributes to it is those number of our members that we place in full-time employment. The key point I wanted to make here is that, if we deliver improved outcomes for our people, we contribute at an operational level to the whole, the tribal outcomes that we have as a whole. So we call this, in the RBA language, is that contribution relationship. The second point, though, and probably the most important point, is that it takes multiple partners to be able to achieve that indicator that we have. So one of the key takeaway messages I hope you do take from this presentation is certainly our partners and working with others makes a difference to achieving for Waikato-Tainui improved health and well-being of our people and our river. We can't do it by ourselves, and we certainly have no intention of doing it by ourselves because we can see that there is mutual benefit to be had by working in partnership. So on that note, ultimately the work that we do is very much about our people, and I want to end my kōrero with again a short video clip, and the video clip really is to give you an example of the initiatives that my team, and to illustrate the work program that my teams are involved in, and the voices of our own tribal members who are at the centre of our journey. So if we could have the last video clip, and I look forward
time in everyone's life. No room for mistrust, no room for hate.
Me he mea he mahi pai mo te tangata, mahia. Work hard for the people. These are the words of King Koroki, the fifth Māori king.
Quality in life that's hard to find.
Kia ora, my name is Lillian Whitiora and I'm teaching my whānau how to save because they spend too much.
Kia ora, I'm Manihira Forbes. We're working hard to make home ownership a reality for our people.
Te Uru Jones tōku ingoa. Kua mahi a te mahi, kua hokona te whare, kei te hari kua aku tamariki. Hari kua?
Kia ora, I'm Rowan Mahara and I'm working to ensure that all Waikato-Tainui tribal members are lifelong learners and leaders that determine their futures.
My name is May Cooper. I'm working hard to do my PhD and I hope it will benefit my people.
Kia ora, I'm Johnine Davis and I'm working hard to get a message about the health and wellbeing of our tupuna awa to children all around the world with a little help from Nani Wai.
Yeah, quality in life that's hard to find.
Kei te mahi tahi au e ngā kaitiaki o ngā marae maha o Waikato-Tainui.
Kia ora, I'm Stevie Ransfield and I'm working hard to gain commercial profits for current and future Waikato-Tainui
Children have come into my life. Beautiful people.
Kia ora, I'm Tim Manuko. I'm working hard to work with our people to look after our river, so our river can look after us.
So the priority for us is the wharenui, and that's right across the board, and then our Parekawhia flats, and then we'll do the club. But I think more importantly is we've got to start getting our marae finished so that it actually functions properly as a marae. We use the club, not for drinking, as a wharemoi. So, you know, we continue to have tangis here. But right throughout, we've had support from Tainui and making sure that, you know, jobs are available. We email out to whānau. We ask them to look at what's available. All the training that Tainui offers. And a lot of them are absolutely fantastic. I mean, I don't think that I need it, but I know that I still benefit from them. So now more of our whānau are actually becoming engaged.
I have grown up all my life in Ngaruahia. It's a low socio-economic community, however it is very rich in culture and collective spirit, and it also has a close connection with the Waikato River, and hopefully this research will help provide employment for our people.
E te tuatahi whakaroa au he mahi uaua tēnei. Engari nā tōku hia te whai whare mō aku tamariki. Tino puhu mahi au ki te mahi au mahi.
Initially, we thought about a house, buying a house, but it wasn't just one house, we needed 4 houses. And so we kind of cut it back a bit through the training and looked at the here and now and how to get there. So with the SMART goal, when we went through the whole program, we could actually see the effects of that plan, of that goal, and how it would benefit us and how we can get the understanding of managing our money.
Achieving the Raupatu settlement took determination, commitment and hard work. Today, we continue to be encouraged and inspired by the words of Kingi Koroki. Today, we are bringing forth that legacy. Me he mea he mahi pai mo te tangata, mahia.
Tēnā tātou katoa he kōrero whakamutunga e tēnei wā, kia horo te marino, kia whakapapa pauna mu te moana, ka tere te ka rohi rohi ki mua ki o koutou aroaro i tēnei wā. I te iwi, tēnei te mihi, tēnei te whakaaro nui a Waikato-Tainui ki a tātou katoa, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā tātou.